Clear that.
Right.
I know what it's gonna clear. I need to move up here.
I was wondering if it'd be worth it to have like lot full signs at the bottom, just saying, just go. Just go.
Useless.
Or if we know that because some people might not know that you can park near the fields and come up the staircase
Oh, yeah.
and go in that bottom.
Yeah, we should probably have that door unlocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
with
gonna
lights.
If we're gonna be, if we're gonna be vigilant about putting up the cones
Right.
Yeah.
here at the top.
Yeah.
Because I've come up and found the door locked and I can't get in, so I have to walk
Hook it.
all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
I never
Makes
go
for
that
an
way.
extra long walk.
it does, and especially with the ice.
Yeah.
I like the other sign stuff.
All right, you guys all settled in?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, we'll call the meeting to order at or actually not the meeting, I'm sorry. We have a public hearing first, so we'll call a public hearing to order at 6:05. We have a public hearing on the proposed $6,996.02 donation from the Mascoma Cooperative Preschool for the EVS preschool playground pursuant to RSA 198:2-G. This hearing begins now. Thank you to the Mascoma Cooperative Preschool for this generous donation towards the playground equipment at EVS. Do we have any other information on this that you are aware of?
The Mascoma Cooperative Preschool actually closed and ceased to do business, so this is part of them liquidating their assets to make a donation to this program.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciate that.
And I forget, is this equipment that we had already purchased or that we intend to purchase?
I think a little both.
Okay.
A little to offset
Little
what they had
offset
already
the
just put in.
Yeah.
And then keep on going maintenance when we do
Yeah.
mulch or stone.
Okay. Great.
All right, seeing no further, any other comment on that? Okay. Seeing no further public comment, we can close the public hearing at 6:06. And we'll call our school board meeting to order at 6:06. And we'll start with pledge allegiance. Please rise and join. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And it's probably my wife saying that it's not streaming. Yes. It'll be taped. All right. We've had some technical difficulties. We'll put this online as soon as we get it.
Yeah, it won't even let me tape it.
All right. First thing we have. Yeah, it won't
It won't let me access it.
Oh.
It told me the camera's insecure.
But we're recording, right?
We're all.
Yeah, but it won't let me access the camera, so there's no.
Oh, there's no video.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, everybody. Okay. All right. We'll try to speak up. First thing on the agenda, we have approval of minutes, public and non-public from 11/22. Entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 21, 2022.
Yeah, 22. 11.
And I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on those?
I have a correction potentially, and Rob's here, so he'll be able to help us. Line 40, first page. We were talking about policy DFA, and somebody asked about the investments. We know where it's invested, or we just have policy. And you said, answered, he just met with the auditors to go over the investment portfolio, and we do know where they are invested. Did you meet with the auditors or with the
No, I met
investment people?
At the town of Canaan.
So that's, I didn't
The
think you met.
trustees of the
The
trust fund?
trustees.
Thank you.
That's
That's,
yeah.
it was not the auditors,
It
right?
took me like a week to remember that term.
Trustees, right?
No, I use it all the time. Yes.
Right, that didn't seem right to me.
Cool.
And then, really easy, one word. Oh, yeah, page 2. Line 2, co-curricular activities committee. Second line, Hope stated she wasn't supposed to be in attendance at that meeting, and I would like you to just put any meeting.
Any meeting of this.
Any meeting,
Yes.
yeah. I won't. Yeah. Just that one. That's it.
All right. Anything else? All those in favor of approval of minutes, public and non-public, as presented from November 22nd, 2022, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. Public comment? Nobody is here right now. All right, we'll go on to student business. Student representative report. Sophia, take it away.
Right. What's been going on? Not a ton. We just started like winter sports, obviously. So wrestling. We have a lot of good wrestlers actually. They have a lot of talent. So I think that's developing on the program a lot. Basketball, obviously, I think that's not a good start. Prom committee has been looking for a venue. We are having a lot of trouble. We were very interested in using the Canaan Meeting House. So, and we got confirmation from someone here that kind of said we could. So Ms. Davis advisor reached out and they were like, no, we have some concerns. So we went to, I went to the board meeting last week and we kind of gave our case and they said no. So we're very upset about that. It was a really special place that we wanted to use, and it's a really pretty. It's a good spot. But everything's just really expensive, and we have like no money because we haven't been able to fundraise with COVID at all.
Yeah.
So
Last couple years.
and they were just like, we'll just do it at school, and we're all like, no one wants to do that.
Nobody.
No. So
Have
we're
you-
just having trouble with that.
Have you found any other venues that you might?
I mean, in the beginning of like the process, I reached out to like every single venue like ever. So I talked to like the Hilton Garden Inn, and that's like thousands of dollars. Ragged Mountain, we were really interested in, and we were gonna tour there, but then we saw the Canaan Town Meeting House, and it was like $85 a night. So we were like, yeah, no Ragged Mountain.
Right. Yeah.
We're paying for that because Ragged was like $5,000 to $8,000 with food and stuff because they have to do their catering. Just the venue alone, every venue is at least $1,500. So it's insane. And then Whaleback, we looked at, it was like $800 or $900, but we would need like 2 days to just make it look even okay.
Yeah.
It's really old.
Yeah, everyone learned to ski there. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think we could make anything look good, but
Yeah.
it's about like no one really wants to say they're going to prom at school.
Yeah.
So it's been really hard.
What's your budget?
Yeah. So we have so we get $2,000 from the school somehow, the yearly thing, with COVID or whatever. So we have like $4,000, I believe. So I think it'll come out to something around $6,000. So like for Ragged Mountain, for example, the cheapest quote that because you have to use their catering for most of it. So like I talked to the woman, Jessica, a lot, and I got we chose foods and I chose the cheapest way we could do it and stuff, and it was $5,500 probably, and that's for the venue and food. So we still would have to buy all the decorations and book a DJ and stuff like that, which is also a challenge right now because we can't book a DJ or anything else until we have a venue. And those are so sorry. We're late to the game. It seems like we have 6 months, but we don't. We are so late. So we have probably around $6,000, but decorations are crazy expensive too.
Yeah.
So did you check out Cardigan at the school?
We're in contact with Cardigan right now. He was looking to see what their when they have graduation because it's around May too. Because we do it May 13th, the Saturday Mother's Day before or something. So we were checking that out to see if either we could use. I guess a couple years ago they did a graduation in their hockey rink or something.
Yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
So yeah, we were looking into maybe their dining hall, maybe a hockey rink. Or then if they had just a flat piece of land outside that we could, because I was already looking into, we were gonna get a tent at the Canaan Meeting House, so with a tent out there. But he was a little concerned there might not be somewhere flat enough for that, by the water. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But
All right.
yeah, so we reached out to a lot of places.
And what's the date of your event?
May 13th.
What was your biggest objection at?
So they have we printed them out before we went to show we had looked at them and bring up solutions, but they have a list of things you can and can't do obviously. So their limit is 140. We would probably be 140 or 150, but that's fine. But they had so you need porta potties so that you can't use the sewer system, which is fine. We could get porta potties, and they were worried about parking, which personally I think would only be an issue when the parents are there. Besides that, most people would get dropped off or take a big car altogether, and we could use the beach. So they were worried about that. but I think that would just be a problem with parents. And then they have all like the rules for inside, so like you can't use tacks or anything on the walls. And I guess they just had a wedding there, and they came in, there was like tacks in the walls and all the stuff they should be doing. So they were really turned off by that. But I'm not really sure how exactly it worked because they did do a prom there 2 years ago.
It was
2 or 3 years ago.
It was a non-prom. It
Oh.
was a
Instead of
non-school
Yes.
organized.
Yeah, but it was still like part
The
of
dance.
like they
Yes.
it was the same idea, and they approved that somehow. So I'm not really sure how exactly
I
that
was
worked.
there.
And they've done multiple other dances.
Yeah,
Yes.
they did a spring dance there last year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so I think Miss LeBrie, she's like a math helper. I think she had some sort of connection, but maybe for like the spring dance or whatever. But I think she misinformed us a little bit.
Mm.
We were like very like, yeah, like we're doing this, and then we went to the meeting and they were like, what are you talking about now? So they're like most of their concerns were just like he was like, yeah, like we understand, but like I think it's best to just do it at the school, and they just had a lot of concerns about. They said like, and you have to give like a $200 like what like a
Deposit.
deposit.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. And obviously, if you like didn't follow any of the rules, they would just keep it. But they were really concerned about what would be after of us not following the rules, and we wouldn't clean it up well, and just a million things that they were all concerned about. And the high heels on the wood floor.
That could be a problem.
Yeah, yeah. But they've done weddings there, and
Yeah.
girls wear the high heels for 20 minutes. And then
I know,
they're off,
exactly,
you know what I
right?
mean? And
Obviously,
then
they're
they're
not.
gone. So they just had it was a lot of concerns.
Well, keep looking,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you run into a real tough spot, come back to us and see if we can might be able to help somehow. I don't know
Yeah.
how, in some
Yeah.
way, whether it's our poll
Yeah,
or
we've
something.
reached out to like parents too. Like, do you have any suggestions? And everything is just so expensive.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
I was gonna say the DOC house on Ockham Pond is a really nice location. They don't have, I believe, they don't have a catering requirement.
Mhm.
But in May, it's still going to be that they'll still be in session. So
Gotcha.
that might be a no go. But yeah,
Worth
so
a look.
things like that. And Whaleback, especially if you could have it with maybe that could be something that's negotiated.
Yeah.
And maybe if paired with a tent,
We were
so there's
thinking
an indoor
instead of
outdoor.
we were thinking instead of using like if we went to Wellback and depending on the time frame they gave us, instead of using the inside at all because it would just take forever to like if you've
Yeah.
ever been in there you just know it just doesn't
Yeah.
look good. Yeah.
Well
So if we use the tent and the deck that they have outside is actually really cute and it's the perfect spot for perfect grand march.
Yeah.
So if we use that in like a tent, I think that would probably be our most affordable bet, and I think it would look pretty. But yeah, so I'm still in contact with that.
Okay.
I have 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
Is Sunapee State Park too far out of your reach?
I'm not super familiar with how far that would be. Sunapee is
40 minutes.
I don't think it would be really much further than
Right.
Ragged.
No.
But
Which,
yes.
that's what it that was.
And the roads are a
2016.
little better.
Yeah.
The roads are a little
Yeah.
better, yeah.
Okay, so I have connections and I can reach out for you and get you an answer so you can have a contact person. if you
Sure.
like.
Yeah. That would, anything. Any suggestions are amazing. Yeah.
And I also have connections with a professional DJ. So let me get in
Okay.
touch with him and
Yeah.
see if he's got that date open.
Yeah. We do have a DJ that we have, and he's like a DJ photo booth combo, I guess. So he does like the DJ and the lights. Then he has like a photo booth he sets up. And we've been in contact with him, and he says yes. It's just relying on booking him actually for when we find
Then we can compare back up too.
when we
Yeah.
find a venue. But definitely like depending on prices and what we end up using for a venue in our budget, I would definitely could reach out to them as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping my DJ is going to be free.
Oh, all
That
right.
would be great.
There we go.
Yeah, whatever you have to, it would be fantastic.
Okay, so I'll be in touch with you.
Thank
Okay,
you. Yeah.
cool.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Sophia. Anything else for your
No.
report?
I don't think so.
Well, that is a big deal to the junior
There's
class
much
for
else
sure,
going
so.
on, yeah.
Well, more than just a junior class, because
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, well,
it's
it's cool,
huge.
really, yeah.
Everyone,
after having no prom for a couple of years,
That's true.
you try to see.
and I want
how
it,
this
yeah,
goes.
you want it to be special.
That's
There's
right.
just something about in the same school do I let you come in at least 5 days a week? That just doesn't work for me. It's just
No,
Yeah.
not right.
some kids spend 12 hours a day here
No,
every single day.
in the
Yeah.
weekends and sports and
Yeah.
plays
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah. You
And
want
no-
to?
And knowing that Project Grad last year and this year as well will be here.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
So having prom at a
Yeah.
different venue.
Well, that's good. You can
Makes
say
sense.
goodbye to your school.
Yeah. Prom is,
That's
prom is
right.
huge for a lot of us.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're welcome to stay as long as you want. You can get up to the basketball game too whenever you want.
So I'll head out.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
have a
sounds
great
good.
day, guys.
Thank you, Sophia. Have a good holiday.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Let's see. All right. So up next we have budget committee report. Well, we were all there on the 5th.
And yeah, but then the other one was just a working committee. You know,
Okay.
they went over.
Any questions for folks about their work session or anything? Amanda, anything you want us to know specifically?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, just a lot of asking questions. How much is in this reserve on that? Let's do this. Cool. All right, that's all set. Communications.
All right, so we've got our notes from our meeting on December 1st that are in your packet. Standard kind of stuff that we talked about, including handwritten report that we talked about, the website and our app, and then we worked on policies.
Yeah, we don't.
So that was really the majority of what we did that night, and our next meeting will be on February 2nd.
Any questions on stuff not related to policy? Okay. All right, finance and facilities. So we met on the 7th. Might as well read this one off. Well, you two were there as well.
Yeah.
So, let me tell you what happened. So Corrado was out sick, and he's got other members sick that are out, and so having to cover that is a challenge. Taking care of stuff, scheduling stuff for the breaks, coming up with a plan of proactive maintenance program for all the mechanical equipment in the schools. We talked a bunch about repairing versus waiting for it to break, that sort of thing. So talking about the systems and talking about, having to have someone come in and diagnose the issues with our heating systems and resetting them when needed. Talk about daily check of our oil tanks. And so Amanda can keep tabs on that. Did all that. Talk about CIP. And that this year we'll probably ask for a larger contribution to the CIP because as costs have been going up, it's been wrecking the projections. So we talked about grants for zero efficiency or net zero buildings, like efficient ones. We're doing air exchangers under ESSER 3. Those are the ones at Canaan and Enfield, right?
Yes.
Okay, those are happening this summer.
Nope, that'd be the summer.
Summer after. That's when we can get them, essentially, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed, we talked a bunch about stuff at the high school. I noticed that the CIP does not have a line item for high school. And as this high school, we have just renovated it, obviously, but looking at the end of that CIP, we're all going to need to do some things in this building as well. So just talking about that, getting materials together for the audit. I talked about projections, and she will get that information to us. Talk about Caden enrollment dropping and Enfield staying steady. We have some new changes, new town manager, new chief of police, things like that. So we'll see what we can do there. And nothing new for cafe services. Contract will go out to bid this spring. Transportation, in your board packet, you have as an informational item the current bus contract, current transportation contract. That's to read and just review. So that way we have it in front of us and we can work on it later this winter. And then we did a few policies and Narcan, getting Narcan to the nurses and stuff like that. So, all right. Any questions on that? No. All right. Good.
No, I did want to mention for when you are doing, when you're doing your notes, driver's ed, it's I don't think he is the business teacher. I believe he's technology teacher.
Oh,
Correct.
I'm
He is
sorry.
tech teacher.
Tech teacher. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, we talked a little bit about driver's ed and maybe tightening the absence policy and letting kids who are on the waiting list get in over kids that maybe skip don't attend the classes. So that's what. All right. Superintendent's report.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Are we on camera?
Not on camera.
No, we're on audio.
Good, because there are a couple things I do want to make sure that they're stated for the public that are not in my report.
Yep.
So first of all, you do have my report in your packet. Talks about Jamie Winnie and I went to the Blue Ribbon, the New Hampshire Department of Education, hosted a dinner for the Blue Ribbon schools and for the Teacher of the Year and for the finalist and semifinalist for the Teacher of the Year award. So that was quite lovely, very nice. We have a fair number of students and staff. I'm monitoring that very closely who are out sick. Not as many as other school districts. There are some school districts who have been in contact with DHHS and have actually closed due to so many absenteeism from the flu. Yeah, so not even COVID. It's looking like the flu is really causing a lot of teacher and students to be out. So far, we're holding on pretty well. I talk a little bit about the Enfield and Canaan ventilation projects. And Rob and Angel will be doing a presentation for you all probably sometime in January or February, just to keep you apprised of that and to give a summary of what we've been using the CARES and ESSER funds to do. We haven't done a great job of keeping you all updated on how we're spending those funds, so we do want to put that out. So Rob and Angel, Rob's probably learning about this now, we'll be doing one of those presentations for you at an upcoming meeting.
Something that we will include in the, book.
Oh, the annual report?
Annual report.
It's probably going to go in Rob's report, I would assume, yes.
I mean, as a separate entity or just?
Probably go tag right into Rob's report, I would think. And maybe some of Angel's too. So, where Angel is talking about how we address learning loss and use the funds that way, Rob can talk about some of the other mechanical things, the facilities things that we've done. So the other piece that I want to just make the public aware of and you all aware of is that we have had, I've had 2 parents complain about the heat at the high school, and we have been struggling with the heat. We're working on it very, very carefully. We had a pump fail that's been replaced. We've had increased heat circulation there. However, something froze up last night, which meant that there was the AHU, Air Handling Unit 2, was out, which is the library, the art room, and the downstairs. So, yes, we are having some heat issues. The building is not freezing. I have had Corrado go around with a heat gun or a heat sensing gun or thermometer that you shoot into the air, and it's coming back no lower than 65. He's also sent me the Johnson Controls temperature readings for the building, and I have no areas in the building under 65. Is 65 optimal? No. If you are a person and you live in a house that's kept at 75, yes, it's going to feel very cold. If you live in my house where your mother is cheap, your kids can come to school in shorts and not think it's cold in the building at all. So yeah, my house is set, it's pretty steady, 60 to 65. So when you come into 70, you need shorts. So that's how my boys are coming into school. So for the people that are concerned about the heat in the high school, there is heat in the high school. So there are some rumors out there that there's no heat. There is heat here, but it is 65. And is that probably a little cold for some people? Yes. And we are working on fixing that. I believe there are some seals in one pump. So we're still down a pump. It's missing seals. Corrado ordered them 3 or 4 weeks ago. He is still working on getting those up and going. But he walked around, he checked air temperatures, and he did check in with the students and the staff, as I asked him to let them know, to see if everybody was okay, to ask them if, they get cold, to please contact him. So we're trying to put everything in place, but at this point, there is no need for me to cancel school because the heat is totally out. So I just want to make sure that that is where you all know we're headed in case you get any complaints from parents. There is heat in the high school.
I'm sure some rooms are a little colder than others.
Yes.
If you sit near a window,
Yeah.
I would make sure your classroom windows are all latched.
Yep.
You know, and simple things like that.
Simple things like that.
And in my house.
Yeah.
With my kids, why is it cold?
Yeah.
Go latch your window.
Yes. And I will say in the cafeteria, there were complaints that there was cold air blowing into the cafeteria today. And yes, that just is circulation of air. It wasn't necessarily cold air. It felt colder because the cafeteria was warm. It was during lunches, a lot of people in there, a lot of heat from the kitchen. So it was warm. So when the fresh air was coming in, it did feel cooler. It wasn't freezing cold. It was just cooler air that was moving through. And that's what we want to happen. We need the ventilation to continue to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my 2 cents about the heat at the high school.
All right.
I met with Corrado today and yesterday. He's expecting some parts for the air handling unit in the next day or two.
Cool.
So that should help alleviate the problem. And so we just keep working on that.
All right. Thanks. Okay, it is New England and it is December.
It's cold.
It's cold. And I do understand though that
Yeah.
if you're in a home that's
Oh, yeah.
kept at 75 or 80
It's going to
degrees,
be cold in there. Yeah.
it's going to feel cold. Yeah.
That being said, have an extra sweatshirt.
Yeah.
In your car. All right, Rob, business administrator. Or I'm sorry, is there anything else for Amanda? Okay, Rob.
Good evening. I can close the copy of the budget committee's budget. It says superintendent still at the top. That is the last iteration of the budget that was discussed. I've also included a draft of the default budget. All the information was entered in the Department of Revenue Administration. So that's a draft that's the report that's generated for the default. So we have the operating budget to be approved, and it shows a slight increase. Both the default budget and the operating budget are very, very close to the current fiscal year's budget. So I think we did a good job of trying to level fund as much as possible.
Very much.
Yep. So, and also the negotiated agreement for the teachers union, they just had a meeting yesterday. It will be ratified tomorrow by the union. And after that, I can generate a warrant article to fill out that part of the process. And we already discussed the preschool donation, that you mentioned, and the financials for November as well.
All right. Cool. Any questions for Rob?
I have, unfortunately, the webinar from NHSBA on how to make a default budget is tomorrow. So I was looking at this today going, I don't really know. So I'm just curious, a prior year adopted budget, so that's the number we queue off of on all these categories. And then we do reductions or increases based on, how does that look? How does that
So
work?
any increases are going to be contractually obligated. So
Okay.
like the support staff CBA that we settled last year, that, the second year increase, those are mandated.
Right.
Anything that we're obligated contractually to uphold is for increases that's added to the current budget.
Okay.
And any decreases are like one-time expenditures. We did some paving, we did some additional furniture and things that were not needed this year. These get deducted. Or if there's any reductions in, I think not this year, next year. I think the last year we had that example, but the electricity contract in the second year it went down slightly.
Yeah.
So I can
Okay.
budget just slightly less for that as well. So any deductions that I can take away from the current budget and any increases that are mandated.
So that's why, with special programs, it was like down 357, but that's because that's gone down. The whole program, right?
For special
Yeah.
special ed?
I don't know, it's the special programs minus 357,000.
Yes, that's part of the special ed adjustments for
Right.
bringing the next program back.
Which is what was reflected in this budget too. Okay.
Yeah, if you go to that, I'm very curious to find out what they say to that NHSBA webinar.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
tomorrow I'm like, whoop, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Forgot about that.
Yeah, it's such a, it seems random sometimes what the
Yeah.
state is like, that you can carry, that you can't carry, that
Right,
is,
right.
yeah, so. There
Yes,
is,
so after I get the teachers union warrant article done, I can send it for pre-review for DRA,
Okay.
and they will come back and get feedback. So right now, it's the draft.
all right. All right. Any other questions for Rob? All right. And we can move on to new business. All right. First up, we have a donation of $6,996.02 from the Mascoma Cooperative Preschool for the EVS preschool playground equipment. Entertained a motion.
The donation from Mascoma Cooperative Preschool in the amount of $6,996.02 for the EBS preschool playground.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, why the 2 cents?
It probably was just cleaning out, if they dissolved, it probably
An
was
account.
just what was the weird amount that was
You don't want to
left
get
in
that
the bank
statement
account.
again, right?
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, they've done a lot of work in our community and stuff, and I'm very thankful that they're able to contribute this. Thought of us.
Maybe it would be I don't think it has to be something that's super expensive, but if there is a place on any new equipment that's going to be installed there, if there's a place to put a little plaque that just is like, thank you to the Mascoma Cooperative Preschool, maybe that would be a nice way to continue their legacy within the community.
I don't know, because they had a number of big donations for that too, for that playground equipment.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have a plaque. with
Oh yeah,
everybody.
plaque with all of
That's
them.
what I'm saying. A
Yeah.
plaque with everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, something simple.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
If you get a plaque out there, maybe there could be like a paper thing inside on a bulletin board or something.
Sure,
Maybe in a nice frame.
yeah, we can do that.
So, all right. Okay. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor of accepting the donation from Mascoma Cooperative Preschool, signify by saying aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right. That's it. All right. Well, next we have the budget. This is our school board budget, the superintendent's budget. Right?
Yes.
Yes. So that is on our plate here.
So, make a motion that we approve the FY24 budget in the amount of $30,535,917 as presented.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? We haven't done already. We've all been at various budget meetings, I think, so. Any questions?
I just want to make a comment about the percentages here. Let me just get my page here. Maybe it's not here. I don't have it tonight, so never mind.
Okay.
I wanted to commend the balance in keeping the cost down.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, compared to last year's budget and the default budget, what we're projecting for a default budget, this is
Nice
very,
work.
very nice work. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other discussion?
And thank you to the budget committee for their
Yeah,
work on this.
absolutely. All right. Call for a vote. All those in favor of the budget as presented for fiscal year 24, the amount of $30,535,917, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Abstentions? All right. That passes.
And I probably will ask that when we have more members,
We
we'll
read
do
it.
a PO,
Yeah.
but I appreciate your time.
Yes, that's what I was figuring with all these.
Yeah.
Things we can do in the first meeting in January, because that is still time to get that into the warrant.
Yeah.
This can get the process moving. All right. Up next, we have the default budgets, the default, fancy. All right, Madam Chair.
Yep, I'll make a motion that we approve the default budget, MSDSD, for fiscal year 2024, in the amount of $30,272,911.
I'll second.
Kathleen was second. All right, questions, comments, concerns? It is not as specific as the awesome detailed budget, but that's because this is coming from what the state wants, so. Any questions, anything? Oh, you good, or you wanna?
And no,
Okay.
it's,
All right,
I
so I
just
didn't
was
want-
curious about that, and I mean, one of the things I was concerned about was looking at it was the, plant, because of the increasing costs, but that's in there, so
Yeah.
it's covered.
Yeah. All right. All those in favor of the default budget as presented in the amount of $30,272,911 signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? All right. Warrant article discussion. This is our chance to talk about warrant articles, but you have a motion, I believe, right?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to discuss and approve the Mascoma Valley Regional School Board tentative agreement with the Mascoma Valley Regional Education Association, NEA, New Hampshire.
All right.
Second?
Okay, so that was, all right, so that's a motion to amend the agenda and move this into the agenda to talk about next. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right.
Who seconded? Danielle?
Yes.
Do we have copies of that for everybody, or?
We do not.
Okay, you have a copy of it, right?
I do.
All right, so, yes, who would like, let's see, I don't want to, how much do we discuss in public before we?
I think, maybe start with, the wages and the, health insurance.
Oh, yeah, sure, might as well, I mean, it's all in my
It's the big
just
money.
today anyway.
We'll start at the top.
Yeah, might as well talk about it. So we started off, might as well start with the money. Basically, this goes with a I don't have it so I say it correctly. In 2023, 2024, it will go step plus 5% increase. 2024, 2025, it will go step plus 2.5%. And in 25, 26, it will go step plus 2%. And in the, let's see, the first year of the contract, so 23, 24, they will take on an additional percentage of the health insurance, so it will be 92 and 8. In year 2, they will take on another 0.5%, so it will be 91.5 and 8.5. And in year 3, it will be 91.9. So they will pay 9%, we'll pay 91%. So that is the financials that came out of that.
All pending ratification.
All pending ratification on both sides. We've got some language cleaned up in here about board rights and just kind of bringing it in line with more other contracts and state laws and stuff. We cleaned up some dates of like, do this, resign by this date and that sort of thing. We got out all this language. There's a whole bunch of language about schedule and how many, if you have an 8-period day, you have this period day, you have that, we made it, simplified it. It's all gone, all very simplified to say that we will, do a different schedule, be 7, 8, or 4, or different, depending on the best needs of students. So, and we'll work with the association to do that. So, I don't want to get into such nitty gritty here. Talk about course preparations and cleared up some language on that to make sure that they can cover and tutor students during the day and during their free periods. We could do an additional professional development day, 2 professional development half days. We extended the teaching day by 15 minutes, so the teaching day is 7 hours and 30 minutes now. They start at 7:45 and end at 3:15. They have to sign out at the front desk or be in contact with the building principal before they leave the campus. That was new. We added in, let's see, what was it? Talking about track advancement, cleaning up some language on that for paperwork and stuff. So the office wasn't getting hit with all sorts of requests multiple times throughout the year. We offered an incentive to teachers who may be selected as a finalist or as the New Hampshire Teacher of the Year, or got a national board certification. They have a bump in their pay if they are honored in that way. We did increase the service award by $500 on each award. So that is, for 15 years, it's $7,500 now instead of $7,000. We did get in there. We solidified some professional development money, so that is guaranteed for them per person, like a certain amount per person. We also did it so that if you're on an alt 4 and you come here and we pay for your school to become a teacher, that if you leave within 3 years, you have to pay us back for that. Because we have had that in the past where someone comes in, gets an alt 4, we pay for their school, and then they're like, see ya, I'm going somewhere else. And we just paid for a teacher, we don't have that teacher. So we got them to pay that back. Cleaned up some stuff on work-related injuries. We have an additional superintendent appointee to the sick bank committee. So it is 3 members of the union and 3 members of administration on the sick bank committee. So that has been a big one. Talking about resignations and having to have the resignation in by June 30th prior to the contract start. Otherwise, they have to pay us damages. Like if they quit in August 1st and it's like, we have 3 weeks to find a teacher, they have to pay, there's a fee that they have to pay, or a penalty they have to pay, because they signed a contract with us and then they're reneging on their contract. So that's that, and then we are setting up a stipend committee to look at all the extracurricular, co-curriculars, and sports. And this will be a committee made up of the superintendent, athletic director, 3 members from the association, and 3 members appointed by the superintendent. They're going to look at the current structure for all the stipend positions and figure out, what rules may be necessary to ensure equity and accuracy between each one. They'll be able to more quickly change things if they need to. Like if year to year you have like a new club pop up, they'll say, oh, we can get that in there first. We can get somebody's stipend for that. And we did the math on how much we give out for stipends this year, and so we guaranteed at least that much in there going forward too. So, any questions? I'm glad to hand this to you if you want to flip through it. Yeah, sure, go ahead.
This is like secret, right? No.
Well, not secret from you, but.
No. But I mean, we're not broadcasting now.
I think our sound is the sound being broadcast live or
Nope.
recorded?
No.
Recorded.
Just recorded. All right. We met all day yesterday with the mediator, and we made a lot of good progress with the mediator. It helped having somebody to kind of go back and forth and be like, you really gonna do that? Yeah, wait, if you do this, maybe that. And he was a nice guy. It was really fun to work with. But that's where we came out with, and we did the math on it. And what does it come out to? 1.212 million, something in that neighborhood. It's like really close to that.
Yes, somewhere in that neighborhood.
You've got Kathleen's got it.
I've got it stashed away here somewhere.
But we kept playing. We looked at how much we started and how much they were starting, and moving back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
I don't have a percentage, but
That's okay.
I don't think I can.
No.
Try to read my hand scratching here.
We run down a lot of numbers at the end and like trying to get back and forth. But it is somewhere. It's either like 1.23 million or 1.21 million.
1.21. You were
Thank
correct.
you. All right. So
The first year.
no, that's total. The
Total,
whole
okay.
contract. The first year will be over. Will be say like I think it'll be like 519, and the second more. It's like 560. Okay, fine. I'm not. Are we playing Prices Right? 540.
You go over.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is.
So the first year will be 540, but then the second year will go down to lower 300s, 330, what, 350, and then the last one is like 319, right?
That's pretty close.
That's close. All right, yeah. All right. So when you add them all together, it comes out to be like 1.21. So when you consider inflation and everything like that, this is right in line with inflation and things. So yeah.
Is the This new, the certification recognition raises?
Yes.
That's fairly nice.
That is
I like
new.
that, yeah.
They were very
Paul
happy.
suggested it, or Tim had
I
Yeah,
suggested
suggested
it.
it, yeah. This is a way of letting, I really want to raise them to raise their game. I want like people to be like, hey, I want to nominate my fellow teacher to be a teacher of the year, and I want to be a national board certification. Because they got to do a lot to do that stuff. So,
Right.
you know, we should be honoring them and encouraging them.
Absolutely. Yeah, good. That's good to see.
Yeah.
Well, thank you to the
Yeah,
negotiating
thank you,
team
guys. Yeah.
for going through, and the administration and the representatives from the teachers union for working very hard over several months
Yeah.
to make this happen.
Yeah, I mean, we went back and forth a lot.
Yeah.
But you know what? We hammered it out, and I think this is, they said they'll get people to, you know, come out for it, and I think people come out for it and support our teachers. And, yeah, so.
And it's very reassuring to have someone like Peter.
Yeah.
As your legal counsel, and he's sitting there with all the questions.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Peter is invaluable for sure. Whew. All right. Any other?
He said something very nice when we were, we were coming to the agreement to ratify and stuff. And he said he'd like to think that it was Grace the cookie looking down on us. We agreed that was probably it.
That's what he said to get him done tonight.
Oh, cookies.
Oh, cookie. All right. So, cool. All right. Well, then we can call that for a vote. And we'll do the same thing. We'll bring this back with the larger board for numbers on the ballot. So all those in favor of,
Do you need a motion?
oh yeah, we need a motion to approve this. Thank you for the,
Do you want to make that? You have numbers in front of you. Right.
I
there a
did
number
have
at
it
the
to begin
bottom?
with. Let's see. Hold on.
You can also just say I agreed upon.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's just say. I'm looking for my paper though. I'm lost. Wait a minute.
Is that it up there? The
That's
contract?
it, the contract
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it right there. Okay, so motion to approve the Mascoma Valley Regional School Board agreement with Mascoma Valley Regional Educational Association
Okay.
as presented.
All right. Okay. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstention.
Who seconded? Got it.
All right, and then other warrant articles, the only other one that I am aware of that people may want is, and this came from as a request from the budget committee, several members asked for this, would be to have a sustainability capital reserve fund where we can put some money away and have it on hand for when we need to do sustainability projects, and that can, and we can spell this out specifically what it would be, but it would be things like energy efficiency, saving electricity. It would be things for recycling, stuff like that. And then we could take and deposit money at the end of the year. We could even calculate how much we saved on stuff and put that back in if we wanted to. But they would like to see us have some sort of sustainability fund that we can sock money away into and then be able to take on projects. So I think that's a decent idea. And we can just, we put out a thing saying, shall we establish this fund? And then we can decide to put X amount of money in it to start, just to get, all we have to put is $1, but we should probably put something like $5,000 to get started, or 10, or whatever. So,
What's the deadline for the warrant?
We're getting really close on warrant article deadlines, and I would want to make sure that this is wordsmithed correctly.
yeah,
I don't.
I already have questions about it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I almost want to just, I understand it, I agree with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's best if we take some time and look at adding it next year.
Okay.
It's we're running up on the deadline with the holidays and the deadline, and I think it's very, very important, especially after the criticism we took over the long-term.
Long-term planning.
Well, that's where I'm having questioning, because I do think we need something like that, but I realize why that had come out.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a difference in the title, the description,
Yeah.
those are all very,
I'd like
very
to see
key
some of
components. Yes, I haven't had any time to do any research on any of that.
Yeah.
So I do definitely agree. I appreciate Andrew Cushing and his
I almost think we
promotion
need
of it.
two. One for planning,
Hmm.
one
And
for
Long term,
capital
right?
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
So, and we are really looking into the Renew America's Schools Energy Grant. Yes, I did send that to you, but yeah, because I'm really interested in looking at that and pursuing that right now. So this may dovetail right on that, so we get one of those grants and then we're able to just, put some money into it or pull from it. I think that would be best, but I'll be honest, I think just taking a deep breath on this
We can study it,
and,
build it.
and looking at it carefully before we jump right into it, I would appreciate that.
We can work on a finance facility.
Yes,
Yeah.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think that sounds great, and especially knowing that, we wanna make sure that we had our legal team take a look at it and make sure that it was worded correctly, and because we have been utilizing our legal resources for the negotiated agreement, we just haven't had time to
Yeah.
talk with them
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
yeah.
So, all right, well, that's cool. That makes sense, and that works, because I'd rather do it right than screw it up, and come out, screw it up, and then really shoot ourselves in the foot completely, so, and have it
I
fail.
think
and then
that
never
the feedback from what I remember was also that there was thinking out there that we do need planning.
Well, that was the
We need-
confusion.
Yeah.
You're correct.
Right, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
So,
It was, people were upset that we were getting rid of it.
yeah, I
But
didn't
it was
want to at
worded
first, but
as-
I understood why.
But it was long-term,
It was for
It was
the
for
building.
this-
It was for
this
building.
building.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It wasn't really long-term, it
Right,
was,
Yeah, and overall, it wasn't comprehensive,
No.
Right.
comprehensively
Right.
or
it was a lesson,
holistically.
I think we got.
Yeah.
Do you have any notice of any other warrant articles that you've heard from the public or anything like that?
We have not yet received any.
Okay. I'm sure you will say, share them with us when you do,
Yes, we will.
if and when you do, so. All right, any other warrant articles?
I believe
I don't believe so. All right, next on our agenda, we have Cookie Hebert Scholarship Funds. And this kind of grew out of our discussion at Finance Facilities about the policy, FF is not in here, but we talked about that policy with naming things after people. And we thought maybe a scholarship fund in Cookie's name would be the best way to honor her, rather than just putting a plaque on a tree or something like that. Open it for discussion. What do you think?
I mean, I love that idea, so much so that we're doing a Cookie Hebert scholarship for Royals Athletic Boosters, so I'm all on board with that idea. I think that establishing a scholarship as part of the school district budget is a bit problematic.
Well, and that's where we actually came up with an idea to maybe have Friends of Mascoma operate it, do the running of it and stuff like that, since they already do.
Yes, they do scholarships and they do named scholarships.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a great idea. I don't know that I would put the school district in charge of it.
Yeah.
At all. So usually if you're a fiscal agent for another organization, so I am with you entirely
Yeah.
conceptually. And as much as it's a good idea, I don't necessarily know that it would be a great precedent to set to have the school district itself and funds for the school district go into a scholarship fund.
Yeah,
Even if it's
logistically.
managed
Yeah.
by another, it's something that we could definitely promote
Mhm.
and encourage funding to go into a Friends of Mascoma scholarship.
Could we even do it in correlation with the Royals Athletic Boosters?
Yeah, I mean, essentially,
If you're already I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think we need two.
No,
yeah, I mean, it was tied essentially to the fact that she was a huge Mascoma supporter,
wanted
athletics and
Get
otherwise,
right in there and drive
driving the
that team
bus
bus.
and,
Yes.
and asking
Right.
about things and being on the sidelines, being a big fan. And so, we have existing scholarships where we basically are just renaming or, naming one in her honor. So it wasn't necessarily new funds being raised because we already give out several $1,000s a year to graduating seniors. And so it was just repurposing one of the scholarships that had, that wasn't named for anyone in particular to honor her in that way. So, yeah, I mean, I'm all for it, and scholarships for our students is always something that is that is a big deal. Both Friends of Mascoma and Royals Athletic Boosters have really similar philosophies as far as who qualifies for those sorts of scholarships, and both of us give scholarships to students, whether it's a trade school program,
Yeah.
2 4-year program. And again, I think that's really in line with a lot of the values that could be,
That was
had.
part of our discussion.
Yeah,
We were
that-
feeling strongly that
Yeah.
we would want to see it go to like the
Hartford.
vocational
Yeah.
side, that she was so fond of those
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't be a problem, even though it's in with the booster.
No, the only thing is it would be tied to someone who has participated in athletics. That would be the one difference between what would be available on the booster side versus Friends of Mascoma. So
So there would be 2 things. They would have to meet participation in athletics and be attending the Hartford program.
yeah, I mean, we can set up any sort of parameters, but we have definitely given scholarships to students who have been Hartford students.
Okay. That sounds doable.
Good combination, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right.
So, yeah, I'm happy, and I'm sure Friends of Mascoma would also, be interested in having that kind of conversation if there was any concern about making sure that, Cookies Memory is kept alive with scholarships, for those that don't go on, that aren't involved in athletics, but.
Yeah, are there scholarships for non-athletic kids?
Absolutely.
With Friends of Muskova?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
But I think it's a great idea. I think promoting it, sharing it out, it really helps carry on that legacy and that vision that Cookie had for the students of this district. So
Okay.
any way that we can do that, working with other organizations, I'm 100% happy.
Cool. So we don't want to do anything for ourselves. That's fine. We want to do what we probably did with that with Royal Athletic Boosters. Do we want to explore Friends of Mascoma and just see what they're if they're thinking of anything?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think it makes sense.
Okay. All right. We can just check with them and see what they're doing. All right. Check.
And just in general, I know that the discussion was that it would be nice to do more scholarships in terms of memory, but we don't fund, we
No.
can't fund it.
No. It'd
Yeah.
have to be an outside group that runs it and does all that.
So the only thing we can do is suggest it.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, and there are some scholarships, some local scholarships that students kind of do one centralized application for some local ones.
Yeah.
And I think the guidance office helps to facilitate the selection of those students tied to specific community funds. But the community funds are all decided outside of, the community funds are held privately.
Right, but we can spend school money to put a bench in? Is that what I'm hearing? We can go buy a
For a
bench,
memorial.
a memorial. We can spend school funds for that? Or we can't,
I don't have the policy in front of me.
do we?
But a lot of those are done with private donations. Like if there's a bench, it's often like a private fundraiser
Right.
that they've done.
Like the Mary Robbins tree out there, when that student passed away, I know it was the class that did fundraisers.
Yeah.
So,
So that's the typical.
Yeah. I don't think typically we do, but I don't believe there's anything that says we can't.
It just seems like if we could buy a bench, it'd be nice if we could, make a donation.
Yeah, it is. It becomes a little more sticky when you're
I
doing just
understand.
cash. Yeah, I mean, a bench is a bench, but
Right.
cash, you can be like, oh, you showed favoritism. You can't
Yeah.
be like, oh, you showed favoritism with a bench.
Right, well, anybody can sit on that, but not everybody gets to
That's
sit.
right. All right, cool. Let's see. All right, so up next,
Batch up on
public
the first
policy. Who wants to batch up the first readings?
Yeah.
They're all
So
first
there's-
readings except for the last one.
Okay. So I make a motion, that we, for first reading, policy BBB, school board elections, policy BBBF, student board members, policy JJJ-R, administrative regulations for access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated pupils, policy BEDH, public comment and participation at board meetings, policy ECD, unmanned aircraft systems, drones, Policy EG, district communication plan. Policy GCG, part-time and substitute professional staff employment.
And I'm gonna ask that you stop there.
Alright.
A second.
Yes, stop there. Okay. Kathleen, second. All right, let's take these right down the list. Start with policy BBBB, school board elections. Now, this is a policy that we don't technically have,
Yes, that's
but
correct.
it would be nice to spell out. I mean, this is all stuff that we all know anyway, but it specifically spells out that we have an odd number of members. The term is 3 years. If there's a vacancy, we have a policy that addresses it. And then we shall have one or more non-voting student members from this high school on there. Oh yeah, this is why this came up, because they made it so that every school in the state could have a student board member. Because there are some boards that would not let a student be on the board in Manchester.
I believe that.
So they made it say, well, you have to let one. Good for them. All right, any questions on that? BEDH, oh, I'm sorry, BBBF, sorry. Student board members.
I
Yeah,
have something to comment on.
sure.
So under general policy, it says the board will have one student school board member. Okay, but everywhere else it says student board members, plural. And if we're only gonna have one, and that's my question, because originally it was voted on to have two, not that we can't change it to one.
Right.
But we were supposed to have two representatives.
Should we put alternate?
Can we just put the S in parentheses?
Sure,
Yes,
yeah.
thank
Will that
you.
solve the problem?
Yes, it will.
We can amend it to say one alternate.
Can we say and or alternate? Alternate.
That works too. So,
And then
One
you can
student
keep
school
your
board
S's.
member.
Would we, oh no, this is the policy. I was gonna say, would we have to go in and change any policy to say one member and alternate?
I don't think so. If you
Okay.
say that there's an
Just-
alternate,
slash or, that's what it means.
Just and/or alternate after school board member on the top line.
that
And
way,
then the parentheses,
they can elect
plural.
co-representatives.
Right.
And they can take turns.
Yep.
However they want, so,
Yep.
because we recognize that it is a big time commitment to, 2 meetings a month.
Then there's the last part, the oversight.
Mhm.
So it says the superintendent shall assure building principals, but we're only dealing with the high school, which has one principal and an assistant, but it should be clear that it's just one principal, not multiple principals.
Oh, building administration.
Better.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
All right,
That's it for me.
good on that one.
Okay.
All right, JJJR. Administrative regulations for access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated pupils. So this is spelling out the details of kids who perhaps don't attend our school full-time, or more, they attend our school less than 50%. And they can participate in curricular courses. They can, like, for example, if they're a homeschooler, but they come here to take Spanish, that's a good example, or a science lab or something like that.
So we changed the wording from pupils
Yep.
to students.
Are there pupils in this?
It's on our agenda as pupils.
Oh, yeah.
We just upgraded it to a modern language, students. Yeah, it just basically spells out like, we have here's the process for participating in an actual course. And here's the process if you want to participate in the co or extracurricular activities like a club or a dance or something like that. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so this is the R designates it as a procedure. So you have the policy already, and this just gives some guidance. We've had a couple of home educated students who have been participating in sports. And so it's been a little bit of like, ooh, what are we supposed to do? Now I can just direct people to this procedure.
So and it makes it pretty clear what you have to do. Like if you want to go to a dance, this is how you do it.
So the one question I had, last number 6.
Yeah.
Home educated or other non-district school students may be required to provide proof of a recent physical examination from their physician for participation. Do we require our students?
Oh, yeah.
Is it
Every year.
optional?
No,
No,
Then why is it optional here?
because if they're participating in an athletic activity,
No, I'm saying, why is it optional for the homeschool kid?
it's not. They may be
Maybe-
required, it's saying they might be required if they
Well,
do.
they are.
Well,
I guess that's
It's
what,
the may, you're having.
Yeah, I'm struggling
you'd like
with
to
the
change
may.
I
to
think it
are.
shall be required.
I mean, I just think it needs to be consistent with what we
Yeah.
require
Sure.
Yeah.
our kids to do.
yeah, I think the option is if they are participating in athletics.
Yeah.
Not in providing the documentation of the physical.
Oh, you lost me.
But if you're confused on it and you're on the board, then let's.
No, and I read it like, I just read it. so
No,
I'm not
that
gonna
makes
say
sense,
I
because it does
studied
sound like
it,
it's
so-
optional.
Home
So we can change
educators
that may to shall.
shall be required to provide proof of recent physical from their physician for participation in athletic activity. Bam.
Consistent with
Yes.
other board policies, so it's treating them
Yes.
just like any other student.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep that last bit in
Yeah.
so that they know that it's not like an extra.
No.
Right.
no, no.
We only require of our home educated
Exactly,
students.
yeah.
Right.
Just shall.
All
There's
right.
no confusion.
Anything else on that one? JJJR. Okay, and then BEDH, public comment and participation. We really hacked this one up because we took the School Board Association one and then took the ones out of our existing policy that we really liked, the way it was worded, and merged them together.
Basically at the requirement of the updated state legislation
Yes.
related to public meetings.
So on a night like tonight, we don't have to keep going for 30 minutes because there's literally nobody here. If there was, 5 people out there and we had public comment at the beginning, we would say, okay, public comment now, and then they would end and say the remainder of public comment has been tabled until the last section, and we will fill out the rest of it then. And then we come out to the last section for our second public comment. We hear them out, and then if there's still nobody that wants to speak, we can say, okay, we have entertained 30 minutes for public comment. We now are all good. So, that's basically the biggest update. And it kind of spells out. I do like it. It spells out what's not tolerated. It spells out what is a disruption. And action we as the board can take if someone's being instructed. So, okay. I wish Mr. Carty was here too.
He'd like it.
He would like it. I think he would.
He would like it.
Yeah. Any other questions on that? We kept in the sentence about it is desired that all speakers strive to adhere to ordinary norms of decorum. We did keep that. We did keep that.
Yeah.
It's an error. All right. Everyone good on that one? I don't want to cut anyone off. Please just say, let's go back. All right, next one, ECD, unmanned aircraft systems, drones. This one, we basically took the School Board Association one and made it our own. Craig looked this over, and at first he wasn't sure that we would need this, but then once he read it more, he's like, oh no, we absolutely do need this. Basically, like he will have a drone license to fly a drone, and Seth will, and there's educational uses for drones that are covered in here. But what this also does is protects us from people who want to just go out and fly their drone, saying you cannot fly your drone over the school. It's now
Right.
I have a drone. I brought my drone in here, and I've flown it over the high school and stuff just because I don't know where to take it. And now I would not be able to without express written permission of the superintendent. So that's what we want to do.
That's
So
a good
we can
thing.
put that on a sign.
Yeah.
No dogs, no drones, no drugs.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that.
No dogs, no drones, no drugs. Big sign.
I like
That's
it.
No
I
dogs.
like it.
No shirts, no service, yeah. So yeah, no dogs, no drones, no dogs. Just keep all that stuff off the campus. But yeah, basically we can use them for educational purposes, and Craig has some really good uses for them. And
Yeah.
some students every year would like to, try it out and stuff like that. And that sort of thing. But we have a lot of property that we can use it on for educational purposes, fly it over the woods, do all sorts of stuff. And the one I was showing Craig, he's like, they could get into racing and whatever, so.
I mean, there could be a situation where there is permission given for like some
absolutely.
kids to, on one
Yeah.
specific day.
Absolutely.
to, You know.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
An athletic event or something
Yeah.
that they're
Oh.
practicing filming.
Yeah, and that's something that
Football, right?
Craig talked about is like filming practices with a drone and trying to do that. NHIA does forbid you from flying a drone over sporting events, so you can't do that already.
Right.
But yeah, the kids can use it like they
I
use.
was thinking more of a club, you know,
Yeah,
like
club,
a
yeah.
science
Yeah.
thing or something.
Yeah.
And we decided to err on sticking with essentially the New Hampshire School Board Association policy,
Yeah.
thinking that as we become more familiar with drones as a
How they-
technology and how this might be used, we might have more input or things that we might want to look at changing or discussing further in the future. But right now, we don't have the base of knowledge really to make substantive changes
Yeah.
that make sense.
I mean, you've got legal references, USC,
Yeah.
FAA.
There's a lot of FAA.
There's a lot of FAAs.
There's a lot of FAA
So-
stuff with it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, but this is it's a starting point. You got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So we wanted to have something.
Yep.
I wouldn't have wanted to write it.
Yeah.
Yep, and what it really covers is as they become more popular, we really don't want people just flying them over the buildings.
No, they're very
We want to have something
distracting
that says we can
They're
call the
loud.
police. Well, yeah, they're creepy.
and they're creepy.
I
Yeah.
don't want to fly over the school, right? But this says we can call the police and have them removed and stuff. So, all right. Any other questions on that one? Okay. Policy EG, policy communication plan. You want to talk about this one?
Yeah, I mean, again, it is it's based on, in large part, by the New Hampshire School Board, Association policy, and it basically, same policy, and it basically gives us a blueprint, for what are the types of communication plans that the district would be involved with. So this ties really well to a lot of things that we talked about for strategic planning purposes, and within our board goals. There was there's some samples, but there's the types of activities and how that information would be distributed to both internal and external community members is essentially what this boils down to.
This is something I think we've been wanting without knowing this is what we want
Right.
for a while for communication, because we've often talked about like how do we get this word out to this group and this word out to that group, and we've done a lot of it and stuff, but having it all tied together in one plan is I think going to help us a lot in tying together with our goals every year.
And being able to say we have approved a policy about a district communication plan will hopefully allow us to move forward on it, knowing that we have actually a policy and the outline essentially of what that plan would contain, so that we can devote some time and resources, even if that means, if we're able to find some grant funding and work with a writer to do some of that, because we don't have a communications officer within our own school district.
I go down to number 9, where it says other.
Mhm.
Such other information, recommending everybody needs other, right?
Yeah.
The recommendation and provisions.
And then there's a little superintendent.
Oh, that's a little.
Yeah.
That's a little.
Well, and
higher.
I also wonder, I mean, you want the communication committee itself, I mean, make that a little broader.
Yeah, you can say provisions of superintendent and board. I mean,
Board, committee, whatever, I'm just,
Yeah.
or is it just specific to the superintendent? That's just,
Well, at the top under B, where the board is directing the superintendent/communication committee.
okay, you're right,
So,
so.
yeah.
So it should be
I'm just, yeah,
relative to
Yeah.
what's up
Yeah.
above.
so yeah, just the superintendent.
Yeah, I think superintendent.
Because at this point, we're trusting
Yeah.
her.
Or-
guidance,
okay.
her
Right, and the
expertise.
superintendent is part of the communications committee of board.
Right.
right,
So,
okay, yeah, I was just trying to see if that
Did I
was
get
all-
another hat to wear?
She loves hats.
I
They go with her
know.
bags.
They go with her shoes.
Just put it on.
All right. Any questions on that one? Okay.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. I was glad to find that. Thank you. All right. And then the last for first reading, or no, I'm sorry. Yeah, the last for first reading, GCG, part-time and substitute professional staff employment, substitute teachers. So this one, we again merged with our existing policy and the policy from SBA. We left the actual rate out of the policy for the reason of being able to change it quickly and nimbly, as opposed to having a first reading, second reading, and adoption.
Yeah.
That way, the rate's not tied into a policy, and that way we would review this every year. My idea is to maybe review it in July or August and say, this will be the this will be the substitute rate for the year. This will be the substitute rate for, facilities. This will be the substitute rate for paras, yada, yada. So that was our thought.
So that doesn't have to be a GCGR, it could just be we talk about it, we said it,
We just
and you're
approved
done.
it.
Just like, so really what we should do in August is set the tuition rate. I
Right,
mean, right
So
now, we're
this-
running at the old tuition
Oh,
rate, which
yeah,
is pretty
that's
flexible. It's okay, it's a pretty flexible tuition rate,
so that can be with
but
this.
we can always confirm that, look at it again. We should be looking at that yearly.
Yep.
And then, I mean, what you all did that was kind of smart was to go by the state rate plus a percentage. So that was very well done because it gives us some flexibility there. But we should be revisiting that on a yearly basis anyway, so we can do that with the substitute rate as well as the tuition rate.
We just lump them together.
Yep.
Do we need to adjust these rates now?
Yeah.
For the next board meeting after we
So
adopt this
I
policy?
have not had a chance to look at local schools to see what the sub rates are. So I will do that before we meet again in January, because hopefully we're gonna cancel a meeting down on there. So that would be my recommendation. So I'll have numbers for you in January and we'll set the rate then.
That sounds great.
So would that potentially look like, we talked about increasing it?
Yes,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll
We can do that now
increase
for this year?
Yes.
Or that,
effective immediately.
well, so you'll second reading this and then we can look at the
and that would be
substitute rate.
effective immediately?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be,
Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing with the hourly rate and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But look, yeah.
So we'll hit this with the second reading, that's probably best, we'll hit this with the second reading,
And then we'll adopt the new
and
rates.
then we'll look at a new rate.
And then I figure if we look at it every year, we'll keep it
Yes.
current.
It's okay to say, to keep it under where it says substitute pay, rate of pay, blah, 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 subject to periodic review as opposed to annual review.
I had said annual originally, thank you, but
I think you wanna leave it more
Periodic.
periodic.
That way
Periodic
we
might
have to bring up.
You could change it twice in a year if you want.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
that's a good point.
sounds good.
All right.
If we found
As
all
long as
the-
we put a note to ourselves saying, review this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, not periodic and then put it on the shelf,
Sure.
Yeah.
dust it off.
we all know how important it is.
Yeah.
And I don't
To be
think,
competitive.
Yeah.
First happening.
I mean, this is a biggie.
And would this cover nurses too?
All
That was
substitute.
separate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, it's all
So
all
substitute
substitute.
teachers.
Part-time and substitute professional staff.
professional staff.
Okay, good. All right.
So that's our end.
Okay, good. All right. Sounds good. All right. So that is all of our first reading as we are going to table JICCR, right?
Actually, I'd rather not table it, so
Oh.
I'd like to just say, if you wanna make a motion to, well, here's my
I
ask.
have the motion of these ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which
First-
we vote on that
Let's do
one
those first. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just making conversation. All right.
Vote on these.
So any other further discussion on any of these for first reading? Come back to any of them. All right. All those in favor of approving all of those policies for first reading signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions. All right, those all pass. All right. What were you saying about JICCR?
So I have a minor, there's just a minor change to this one, and what I'd like to ask of the board, you can see that it is a procedure. So I'd like to ask, to waive the first reading and move to a second reading, and adoption this evening.
Sure, okay.
What's the small correction on?
Oh, the small correction is, let me find it.
All right, then go ahead and make your motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we waive the first reading and move to second reading and adoption for policy JICCR.
1 second.
So JICCR, so this is a fairly new policy, but under section B, I'd like to ask that we add, under the response and consequences for misconduct on school buses, I'd like to say that we add after the first sentence, the sentence that reads, any disciplinary action is at the discretion of the building principal or designee.
That's in there. That is the
Yeah.
second sentence.
So that's added in.
Oh, okay, good.
That's an addition in that was not in the original policy that as we have it written right now.
Oh,
Okay, so that's the thing that we are,
And I'm asking for that because here it's, first, second, third referral. Third referral is an immediate 5-day suspension from district transportation to and from school. That's pretty harsh on a kindergartner
Yeah.
that might not be able to sit in their seat. And so that's what I found is we've done a really good job of implementing this, is that my principals feel that there's no leeway, right?
Yeah.
So it's the third write-up, it's an automatic 5-day suspension. And I think it's extremely important that the principals have some leeway and some discretion
Absolutely.
sure.
in that.
Yeah.
So I'm asking, that's why I'm asking
Yeah.
sort of for an immediate one,
Yeah, yeah.
because we're coming to the
Yeah.
point where kids are hitting a third write-up, and
Yeah.
not that they're not behaving on the bus, but kicking them off for 5 days is pretty severe consequence in my opinion.
That seems to be more of a middle school.
I
high school.
absolutely agree.
I mean, we
had
can
to solve
certainly,
that one.
we can certainly say that does not apply to, no, we should keep it in there.
I don't
The
think adding the
discretion,
discretion,
yeah.
because that allows for some
If there's a
differences between the grade levels.
second grader letting a
Yeah.
fire in the backseat or something like that,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, you want to be able to kick that kid off the bus.
All you need to do is let the parents ride for the kids.
Oh, boy. Any
That'd be the
parent that
kiss
wants
of
to ride, please. We will, yeah, so.
Kiss of death.
Mhm. All right. Any questions on this one? And 17 through 22. That one. And I mean, I know that some of these are like, students should not use profane language or obscene gestures. And that technically, they should get an immediate 5-day suspension from district transportation for that. The reality of that is not necessarily going to happen. Just because, you know what I mean? But maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe it will.
Do the bus drivers have access to identify students with disabilities? I mean, are they aware which students have severe disabilities?
We don't necessarily share that information, and some of it's protected.
So how would they know that the behavior is outside of the norm because of the disability?
So, right, so they would have to write the student up, and then they would have to trust that we would discipline them
Okay.
in accordance with.
So
how
it would fall on the building principal?
That's correct.
Okay. So it would be taken care of
So,
at that level?
yes, that's how it would. So, but the driver might, with the current policy as written, assume that just because it was a third write-up, that student should be off, when in reality, there might be some outside circumstances that might prevent the suspension.
So would we be communicating with the driver that it's a difficult issue at some point, where they don't
That's-
think it's being ignored?
Yes, that's typically what we said. The administrators are pretty good at going out, speaking to the driver, letting him know that they've handled
Yeah.
it. It's sort of that closing of the loop piece
Yeah.
that's pretty important, that communication is.
That's good.
Okay. Any other comments on this one? All right. Seeing none. All those in favor of second reading and adoption of JICC-R signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Abstentions. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last one here for second reading, Council DFA. Entertained a motion.
Also, we approve the second reading, the DFA investments.
Second,
All right. And so this is just coming back to us for second reading. We changed it to Finance and Facilities Committee.
And annually. We
Annually.
got rid of this periodically.
Yeah.
We changed it
This
to
will be
annual.
annually, yep. Did we get everything, Hope?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, good.
I'm
All right.
tired of looking at this one.
All right, all those in favor of policy DFA for second reading and adoption, but signify by saying aye. All opposed, abstentions. And at this time, I'm gonna make a motion that we cancel our December 27th meeting and instead go to the first meeting in January.
I'll second
Thank you. Oh,
in discussion.
any discussion on that?
Oh, no, I love
All right, I didn't
meetings.
think
I'd
so.
love to be.
Oh, you
there.
want to be here? All right. Right in between the two other things. Yeah. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, abstentions. All right. So our first meeting will be, what is that, January 7th?
10th,
10th,
right? 10th.
yes, January 10th.
Yes, because January starts on the first, right?
Yep.
On the Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the Sunday.
Then I have a question because
January starts on the first.
we're going to revisit the
Also
articles
true.
for the warrant articles and everything, but we won't be meeting till January 7th,
January 10th, yeah.
or 10th.
But we have until what, the 14th or the 18th or something like that, 20th to
We're
get
good.
warrant articles in?
It's usually, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Later.
after the 10th, that I do know.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, then it works.
I think- Yeah,
Yes, it's
it'll
after
work.
the 10th. The 10th is enough. I want to say the 13th, but don't like totally.
It's either the 13th or the 20th, one of the two. It's usually a Friday night.
So if the same individuals are absent, then we won't entertain.
Yeah, but I'm gonna
Revisitation of it.
try and make sure that they get here, for that meeting at least. Because we definitely want to have a vote of as many people as possible on the budget and contracts, and other warrant articles too. What else do we have for that then? We'll have those committee reports. There might be one or two.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. I'm sure some more stuff will pop up between now and then.
Yeah, you have the public hearing on the 11th.
Oh, yeah, that's right, for
Okay.
the budget,
School
so
board
yeah,
meeting on the 10th. and the
We'll
public
talk about
hearing on the 11th.
Yep.
Okay, good.
And the next one is on the calendar, so we canceled the 20th, the meeting on the 20th.
yeah, I don't know how that got on the calendar.
Yeah, me either. I think we're canceling it.
Cancel that one and cancel,
My guess, when we were looking at the calendar of the year, we decided we didn't necessarily want it
oh, yeah,
in the holiday week
Correct.
because
Oh,
of
you're right.
vacation.
you're right. No,
And then we said, okay, well, we'll move it to this date just in case we
In case
need it.
Yep,
But
that's, you're
hopefully
right.
we'll.
We should be okay.
That is what we did, I think.
Yeah.
You're right. All right, anything else? Do we have non-public?
We do, for the purposes of hiring.
All right, public comment, any public comment?
Oh, wait,
Great.
do you have a green sheet too?
Oh, no. Yeah, we have a green sheet.
Yes, we do.
Should we do that before the public?
Yes, please do that.
Make a motion that we approve the nominations, and resignations as presented.
Second?
All right. Discussion.
You just have, one resignation and, one mentor.
Okay, all right. All those in favor of nominations and resignations as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
those opposed, abstentions. All right, let's go. And we have non-public
For the purposes of hiring.
for the purposes of hiring. All right. Who would like to make a
Make a motion that we move into non-public for the purposes of hiring.
Second,
motion? All right. Danielle, Kathleen. Okay, Danielle.
Yes.
Tim, yes. Kathleen.
yes.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. We are in non-public. Thank you, everybody. See you later.